Let's head off to Nigeria. They are changing the model for their CBDC, the eNAIRA, to promote more use. In an effort to push for broader adoption, the Central Bank of Nigeria has updated their app to enable contactless payments. The bank hadn't responded to a request for more information at press time. A lot going on in Nigeria around the use of this CBDC. I know we've spoken about it a few times on the show, but Will, what do you make of this? Do you think that an update on the app is going to be what it takes to get Nigerians really behind the eNAIRA?
It's going to take a little bit longer than that, a little more than that as well. A lot of people don't realize this, but Nigeria has one of the most vibrant tech sectors in all of Africa and just globally. Jack Dorsey himself, creator of Twitter and also the CEO of Block, has long held aspirations to move over to Nigeria, move over to Africa full time. Why? Because there's a lot of people who think just like him over there, and so he wanted to make the move. And so you see that side of things with the tech. On the other side of things, the Nigerian government has this desire to move into the CBDC landscape, whether that's because of incentives on controlling monetary policy or because they want to do something with remittances. Nigeria has a very large remittance market. It's hard to tell. At the basis, though, you have to look at like how this is rolling out compared to other countries. It does seem to be moving faster than other countries. I mean, they're talking about changes to their mobile wallet while the U.S. is still debating if we're even going to have the CBDC, right? So there's two different arguments here. And I think the one thing that we should point out is that a lot of people in Nigeria are not going to be able to use this mobile wallet because they're still on a cash-based economy, especially eastern parts of the country, which are still very far removed away from using a mobile wallet for any sort of payment. Right? There's a cash-based economy, maybe even payment in kind. So it's weird to look at this economy and think of how a CBDC could be fit in here, but there are definitely portions of the economy where this could be a big use case. That being said, the volumes and the amount of people using it are pretty low. This article does mention the wallet count. It says about 13 million wallets or so are open in the country. Wallet count's not a great metric, of course, though, because anyone can open a wallet and just make tons of them. So you have a hard time understanding who's assigned to a wallet. It could be one person with 1,000 wallets or one person with one wallet. At the end of the day, these are still very small numbers, but they're iterating at the very least. Danny?
Yeah, and to get that true growth for any CBDC or any e-commerce payment for that matter, Nigeria is going to have to rethink the way that its basic economy works. There's a huge sector of it, I think it's in the hundreds of billions of dollars in the informal economy that is cash-based. And that's because merchants and vendors and these small-time businesses, they're not set up to take anything other than a cash payment. And having a CBDC requires two things. It requires you to have the technology to accept it, and also for you to be interacting with other businesses that make it worth your while to even take this form of money. So in order for this really to catch fire in Nigeria, the entire economy is going to have a lot more digital infrastructure put in place, whether that's through mobile phone proliferation or just through point of sale kiosks. That's going to be the key to even thinking about making this a successful product in Nigeria.
Yeah, you both mentioned the informal economy, and the number for that is the country has a $220 billion informal economy that's mostly run on cash. There's little infrastructure built out for use of the eNAIRA, for vendors who are incorporated in this $220 billion number when we talk about that economy. So I think that there is definitely a long road ahead here. I read the story and I think back to March when we were seeing protests over the eNAIRA, and the protests kind of were twofold. They took into account this cash shortage. So there's a limit on how much Nigerians, or there was a limit at least, I'm not sure if that's still in place, on how much Nigerians could withdraw in cash on a daily basis as they were being pushed towards the eNAIRA. And then the money was actually being redesigned so that enhanced the shortfall of cash in the country. When that story came out back in March, it was reported that less than 0.5% of Nigerians were using the CBDC, but more than 50% of Nigerians had used crypto before. So that points to a bigger problem for me than just infrastructure. It points to possibly, distrust in the government and financial policy in the country. So I think that there are definitely a lot of roadblocks for Nigeria to overcome. But I do also think that other countries are probably watching what's happening with the eNAIRA, watching how the country rolls out the CBDC, taking notes and learning for CBDC projects in the Western world. Will, any final thoughts here? No?
Yeah, this is just the country to watch probably with in terms of CBDC development. So keep an eye on Nigeria.